The Hook, airing on OffTheHookSports.com, your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at OffTheHookSports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
On a Wednesday, we're off and rolling and appreciate you joining us. You can always follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast. And we would certainly appreciate you subscribing on YouTube, where you'll find interviews with current Tennessee players. Chris Landry. We've got a lot going on. OffTheHookSports.com is where you'll find the fine work of Ethan Stone, and maybe you'll even get to see Amanda adjusting her camera at some point. She did. It happens. Amanda, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Ethan, I'm well. Ethan, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm pretty tired, but I'm doing good. I need to adjust to waking up earlier. If you'd believe it, I woke up very late when I went to school, so this is a little different for me.
Yeah, we'll tweak it. You'll get there. So Ethan does a great job on OffTheHookSports.com covering Tennessee athletics for us. And Ethan, this is supposed to be a quiet time. I used to take like 3 weeks of vacation during this time, but it's really not anymore. I mean, you've got a lot to talk about from a Tennessee perspective. This is a recruiting month, and we're going to talk about a little bit of recruiting later in the show, football recruiting, because of the different signing day. This is a recruiting month, and you can get the latest news on recruiting off TheHookSports.com. Thanks to Marlon McKinney and our Ball Stuff post. He's got a daily wrap up of everything. But also you have the baseball team. Oh yeah, they're in the Super Regionals. We're going to break that down with Ethan. And then you have Grant Williams, who I know there's not a lot of NBA fans out there, but it's hard not to find him entertaining. For those watching video, he kind of does this the whole time. His mouth is wide open. Amanda, when you see somebody with their mouth wide open, what does that tell you about that person?
Oh, well, I used to do that all through like high school because I have a really fat bottom lip and it would just kind of weigh me down. So my dad would always come up to me and go, every time he saw me do that, he would just be like,
well, I don't know. So our audio listeners have so he would just hit the bottom of your chin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's all he would do. He just hit the bottom of my chin to close my mouth. But normally I would think that they're like mouth breathers, but I understand a little bit because sometimes your bottom lip gets fat and you just,
Yeah, it's a problem.
Sorry.
Ron Slay, former Vol, will join us. He is the most fun broadcaster you will ever have in your life. We're looking forward to that. He's going to give us his thoughts on, Grant Williams, but also just his thoughts on Tennessee's baseball team. He's a regular host there in Nashville, so we'll visit with Ron. He has more energy than anybody I know. He is fantastic. I still remember, this is how much things have changed, kids. And by the way, for those listening audio-wise, I have a very, very attractive co-host. So be sure and tune in on YouTube. Ethan is great looking. There's no question about it. Ethan is a looker.
I don't know about that.
But I was going to talk about you, didn't you, Amanda?
No, I was on that Ethan train.
Yeah,
I was on that Ethan.
Yeah.
That's
I like it. So this is how much things have changed, guys. So I don't know, way back in the day when Ron Slay played, I'm going to say that when that is, early 2000s, but I had this radio bit that I was going to do, and it was going to be from the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Remember where he goes, he has the pizza delivered into the room? Do y'all remember that? So I wrote up the script, and I was Mr. Han, and he was the character played by, I can't even remember who it was. And the sports information department came up. It was just a bit. It was Name That Movie. They came up and totally busted me. And now we just call players and have them on. So that's a little bit different, but pretty cool. So we've got a lot to get to today. What are your thoughts, Ethan? I did want to start with Grant Williams before we get to some Tennessee baseball. You've got a great breakdown of the Tennessee baseball team, but Grant Williams is a guy that I thought could be a guy that sticks in the league for 3 years. I didn't think he'd be a major factor on a potentially championship winning team as it's game 3 with the Celtics and Warriors tonight. I'm a little blown away by what Grant Williams has done.
Yeah, he's turned into a six-man starter at times in the playoffs when they had injury problems, but reliable 6, 7 man that plays his role really well. And his role, which is kind of a contrast to what he was in college, is you sit in the corner, you shoot threes, you make 40% of them, and if they go up to guard you, you can make the pass. You're a big man that can make the pass. You can get rebounds. You can really do anything. And I mean, that's the way he's contributed in these finals so far. Obviously, I believe against the Bucks, he had that really high scoring game where he led the team, but so far he hasn't done a lot of scoring. I believe he had 6 points in their loss to the Warriors, but he's been a rebounding assist machine. He's kind of all over the court. That's just his role for them, and he fits it really well because at Tennessee he was just the definition of a scrapper, a definition of a guy that you can rely on to go get that sort of stuff. So it's really nice to see, and I would agree with you. I saw him out of him, Admiral, and Jordan Bone being the one that made it the furthest, and he is as of right now.
Amanda, when Draymond Green calls you a clown, that's a compliment, because when you get under his skin, then you're doing a good job, and that's what he called. That's what he called Grant after game 2. You ever been called a clown?
I've never been called a clown per se, but when Draymond Green is upset with you for trash talking or what have you, or getting upset, it's you're doing something right, because he's the ultimate like trash talker, the ultimate get under people's skin, all that stuff. But you have to be doing something right, because if you're making him upset, that's a good place to have him.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the downside is he may just kick you in the crotch.
That's the chance you take. But will his game be on if he kicks you in the crotch? Probably not. He's so focused on you that he's not focused on anything else. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of that. And Ethan, I know you're a big college basketball guy, but in terms of Draymond, it is astonishing how many times he's gotten away with that. Going back to your point about Grant Williams, it seems like he has a big game in every series scoring wise. So I don't know if that's tonight or not, but it certainly sets up for that. You're at 1-1, and I think there's potential for him to break out and have that 20-point night within the next couple of games. I really do.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Maybe not 20 per se, but I think at least one of these games, if not multiple, he's going to have a big game. They've kind of deferred more to Peyton Pritchard against the Warriors, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Just because of style. Like, they just need to score points at times. And in game 1, it was Peyton Pritchard that they turned to instead of Grant Williams. And sometimes that's just how it's going to be. He's kind of filled that 6, 7, 8 role alongside Grant. So I would expect at some point Grant is going to get his shine. Absolutely. If he starts making one of those corner shots and he gets on a roll, then that opens up possibilities for him everywhere. And I feel like that'll happen at some point.
Yeah, the cool part about Grant, too, that I like is he can be that 6-man role that can come in and score some points, but he can also be that, I don't know, hockey goon isn't the right term, and he doesn't play like that, but he can play physical. So if he needs to come in there for just a few minutes and get under Draymond's skin, that's perfectly fine too. So let's talk some Diamond Balls. Go to offthehooksports.com to see Ethan's breakdown OTH takes, as it's the Super Regionals this weekend, and Tennessee will play Notre Dame. So, I mean, let's all be honest. Raise your hand if you knew anything about Notre Dame baseball before this weekend. No one has raised their hand, but now we do, thanks to Ethan. And you can go to offthehooksports.com for OTH takes. Ethan, let's kind of get started with your thoughts on what this team essentially is, because as I'm reading over your story, I read it was up last night. I noticed that this is a team that is in a really powerful conference at the plate, but they don't hit a lot of home runs. They're kind of different from their conference competition.
Yeah, they're very different in every sense of the word. The brunt of my knowledge of Notre Dame baseball heading into this weekend was that they were probably a little underseeded. That's the only thing I knew about them, is they were a 3 seed in a regional with Georgia Southern, who's playing really well right now, and Texas Tech, who's obviously was the number 22 team in the nation and got that number 2 seed nod. So a lot of really good teams in the Statesboro regional, and they're the ones that came out of it. They're playing really hot right now. But they're a different team than Tennessee has faced in the past. Campbell and Georgia Tech, just in the Knoxville regional, really good hitting teams, really good offense. Not a huge amount to show for it on the other side of the ball. It's the exact inverse with Notre Dame. They're a very good pitching team. They have 11 strikeouts, I believe, per 9 innings. They're a top 10 ERA in the country. They have just a really solid defense to bat with. I believe their fielding percentage is about 14 or 15 in the nation, right along par with Tennessee. They both have really good defenses. It's just going to be a change of pace for the Vols, and I'm really interested to see really if they can just make that adjustment, because Notre Dame by any means is not a team that Tennessee should lose to, but just with that stark difference, I feel like it might throw them a bit of a curveball. And I don't know, it might be an interesting series. I still think Tennessee takes it, but it definitely will be a challenge having to make that transition.
I think we all would probably agree that if Tennessee, Amanda, does not get past the Super Regionals, does not at least get into Omaha, that Tennessee fans have a right to be frustrated, upset, angry. I think that's fair.
I mean, I don't know if they necessarily have a right. I don't think if you're not playing the sport yourself, you have a right to be upset or angry. I definitely think they will be upset or angry. The expectations are high for this team. And if I were a Tennessee fan, I would be upset or angry if they didn't make it. I would be upset or angry if they didn't win it all. But I can understand why some people don't think that. I feel like I would be upset. Just me, myself.
I mean, I would too. I think college baseball would be upset, Amanda.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great story. And there are some people, listen, it's in our backyard. Okay. We've seen Tennessee. We've seen the bat flipping, we've seen the hats and the fur coat, but there's still some people, maybe the West Coast, that haven't seen that have heard about Tennessee's a dominant team. But a lot of people don't tune in until you get to the playoffs, like the Super Regionals. I think college baseball would be hurt if Tennessee's not in the College World Series.
No, I definitely agree. And it would just be, I don't know if unfair is the right word, or just extremely disappointing if Notre Dame was the team to take them out. I mean, I do not see how it can happen. This team is so dominant in everybody that they've played, with the exception of Kentucky. And I'm just saying, Alabama won one game. One game. We won one.
FYI.
Yes.
The noted Alabama fan. We have to get that.
We won one. Give us that. We have that credit. I mean, everybody in Alabama was so upset when we didn't make it to this, and I was going, why? Why would you be upset? Like, we have no chance of winning it all. Why'd you be upset? But I think that's just my viewpoint on it as an Alabama fan.
Yeah, Ethan, so you've covered this team all year. As far as the matchup with Notre Dame, is that the kind of team they would want to play? To me, I see the pitching and I think that that's pretty intimidating. But I think Tennessee matches that. And on the flip side, offensively, I don't think there's any comparison between Tennessee and Notre Dame. So at the plate, I really, really, really like Tennessee. I see this being kind of a 5-1 sort of games, somewhere in that realm, lower scoring, but Tennessee wins pretty decisively. I think, as I look at read your story on offthehooksports.com and do a little bit of research myself.
I think it'll definitely be lower scoring than, say, if you were to compare it to the Knoxville Regional. I think it'll be maybe around 5, maybe a little higher, 7, around that area. What I've noticed following Tennessee baseball this season is going against good pitching teams, they're fine. They do not struggle against good pitching teams. Florida is a perfect example. They, I believe, swept them this season and then beat them in the SEC championship game. So that's 4 wins. Vanderbilt, also a really good pitching staff, did the same to them, swept them. They have problems, not even problems. I can't really say problems because Tennessee doesn't have problems against anybody. They have a higher chance of losing to teams that can bat with them. That can, because at that point you just never know what's going to happen. You know, if you have the bats ready and you have teams that can hit really well and put runs on the board, then maybe Tennessee could be scared about that. I mean, take Campbell and Georgia Tech this past read. I'll just keep going back to them because that was a perfect, I feel like, first glance at the postseason for Tennessee, because Georgia Tech really messed with them. They were a swing of the bat away from tying it up in the 9th there. Campbell was up 4-0 early. Teams with good bats can dance with Tennessee. I feel like teams that don't have that part of their game down, like Notre Dame, not a good hitting team at all. I believe they're sub 50 in home runs. Their hits are less than 100th in the nation. Like a very low amount of hits and runs. They're just not a team that scores. They're a team that relies on pitching. And I think Tennessee will be able to take advantage of that. I just don't see any way that Notre Dame has the skill sets to, I guess, be able to mess with them at this point. The teams are just completely different, and it always favors Tennessee when it comes to hitting.
Yeah, and Amanda, who played softball, I'm curious in that position. When you get into the playoffs, the pressure of that, does it affect the pitcher more often? Does it affect the batter? How does that affect you in a game that's more mental than football, where you can go out and hit somebody and kind of release some energy?
Right. I believe that it just depends on your mindset. If you're a pitcher and you can get, shaken. I couldn't pitch. I was a catcher, could not pitch because I couldn't handle the pressure being out there. I could hit. Hitting was not a problem, but pitching out there with that kind of pressure, I couldn't do it. But like Ethan said, Tennessee is dominant on both sides of the ball, and I don't see another team that could even compare to them. I think the closest would probably be Georgia Tech, and they took care of them already. So I really don't see how anybody could beat this team going forward, unless it's just a crazy, lightning strikes and we have a 6-hour rain delay kind of thing. I don't see anybody shaking this team at all. They have confidence in every aspect on the field, behind the plate, front of the plate, next to the plate, hitting the ball, confidence, just everywhere.
Yeah, great place to watch the game this weekend would be Zool. Zool is absolutely fantastic right there downtown. Amanda, it's very easy to find, and they're winning worldwide, not national, worldwide awards. That's XUL, Zool, like Ghostbusters, right downtown. And the space is fantastic, great place to relax and hang out. I can't imagine a better place to watch the game if you're downtown. That's the place.
Yeah, it definitely is. And today, actually, we have the world-winning Hazy IPA. It drops today. We just did a batch of it. It drops. So everybody's excited. I actually have the shirt on, which is, hold on, let me turn it around.
Which nobody listening in podcast form can hear. There you go. I can't read that at all. Ethan, can you read that?
I didn't.
No.
It's called Rhymes Like Dimes. That's
Right. I know what
started.
it's called, but it's hard to read. I think it's flipped around on this video. So for those of you listening in audio form via podcast, you didn't miss anything because we couldn't read this shirt anyway.
Well, it's fine.
But
it's just a cool looking shirt, though. You can at least see that it's a cool looking shirt.
It is a cool looking shirt,
and it has the gold cup right here on the sleeve.
I love the gold cup.
Isn't that nice?
Is beautiful. Go to Zool. Watch the game. I want to remind you that we are brought to you in part by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland, Tennessee, open 6 days a week year round. They have the EETC certified technicians and state-of-the-art service facilities with parts and service for over 28 brands, 20,000 parts in stock. They carry commercial and residential zero-turn mowers, lawn tractors, commercial wide area mowers, Toro's new zero-turn mower with a steering wheel, trimmers, blowers, edgers. They've got it all. 0% APR for up to 48 months and 3.99% up to 60 months. So, I mean, that's the way to go, no matter if you're looking for commercial or maybe you're looking for just residential. You got to go to a Vassy Lawn and Garden. So, Ron Slay coming up next. Stay tuned. She is Amanda LaFrada. He is Ethan Stone. I'm Dave Hooker. More after this Off the Hook Sports.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
We're going to visit with Ron Slay here momentarily, and we're looking forward to that. Ron, hands down, the funniest player that I've ever covered, and also a guy that is very animated. Do we like those players that are animated? Guys, do we like the Deion Sanders of the world? I'm trying to think of other examples. I just think there's a very easy line to cross, and that's when it becomes disrespectful to the opponent, like the bird flipping. We talked about that with Tennessee baseball. I think that was the line. I'm not crazy about the hat and the coat being in the dugout. I think that as long as it's in the dugout, I'm okay with that. But Amanda, do we like that out of our athletes, or we would prefer not to have that?
I think a little bit of it is good. I think that there are some players who can go over the top with some of their antics. Like I remember Baker Mayfield, doing the junk grab and all that stuff. That was too much for me, honestly. Like don't assault yourself on the sidelines at the other team. That was a little much, but I think it honestly depends on how good you are. That's the line. If you are a Michael Jordan, I think you can get away with a lot more than say, Ocho Cinco was good back in his day, but he wasn't the end all be all. He wasn't Megatron. So I think that you have to be good enough to back up what you say. And some of these players are not good enough to be that crazy.
I have the perfect example.
I do too.
Okay, let me start. I think you two are too young to remember this. Brian Bosworth.
Yeah, not mine.
Do you remember that name?
I don't.
Yes, but he was good in college.
He was great. Well, he was good in college. Good is a good term. He got overhyped a little bit in college, and then he had the poster Land of the Boss. You remember when they used to do those posters that were like themed? Ethan, you missed out on that. Your generation, they were so cool. Like you'd have like the three amigos for the Denver Broncos receivers, but they had the Land of Boz, and here he has this shaved side of his head and this long mullet, and he's supposed to be fantastic, and he got absolutely destroyed by Bo Jackson, and that was kind of the end of the Land of Boz. Yes. We pulled back the curtain and we found out that he just wasn't that special. Ethan, who is doesn't live up to the hype?
Well, while she was talking, it came to mind. I think it's perfect. He was fantastic in college. I think he's playing arena football at this point. It's Johnny Manziel. Johnny Football. I feel like he was the quintessential trash talker for just not being that great at the game of football. Okay, college he's fantastic. Fantastic to watch in college. NFL did not quite work out, whether that be for off the field or on the field performance. I'd maybe venture to say a little bit of both, but yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with the Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. I'm with you with Johnny Manziel, but let's be honest. I was talking to a sports writer at one point, and I just said, "Hey, he's the best," because this guy has a few years on me, and I said he's the best since. He goes, Archie Manning. That's going back a while. Archie Manning made Ole Miss relevant. He was that good in college because he was bad in the NFL. Let's not shortchange him for what he did.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
I think he was something new in college. That's what I think. I think he had a style that nobody had seen up until that point. So it's very hard for, defensive coordinators to prepare for him because he could really just do anything back there. I remember I was at the game that Texas A&M beat us. I think it was 2012, I want to say. And I was at Alabama watching, and it was heartbreaking just because we couldn't stop him, and we had a killer defense, and there was nothing that we could do because he was like a little squirrel back there, just getting away, running. A little squirrel. It felt like he was running under the legs of our,
as opposed to those really big squirrels that you see.
Okay, some of them are really big, Dave.
What's the biggest squirrel you've seen? Beyond ankle high?
Yeah. I've seen some big old squirrels. I went to South Africa. I've seen some big squirrels.
No, I didn't know we were talking about South Africa. I was talking about Tennessee.
Yeah. Either those are squirrels or rats. I don't know which one, but they were everywhere.
Have you ever seen a big fox?
No, not a big fox. I have skinny foxes that live close by. They're really cute.
Do they scream bloody murder at night? Mine
no.
Do. Yeah,
it's coyotes that do.
That's what coyotes do. Is that a big fox? Are you sure that's not a coyote?
My wife tells me what to think, so I just pretty much go along with it. We're going to visit with Ron Slayer momentarily, brought to you in part by Viles Automotive. At Viles Automotive, it's their mission to be the automotive home of drivers in the Knoxville area. They provide a vast selection of used cars, and they have selection. They've also got exceptional car care and customer service with a smile at a local dealership. An incredible stock, which you just don't see of cars there at Viles Automotive, and they can do financing as well. That's Viles Automotive, and they keep you going. They've got car service and repair work it is awesome. I'll tell you who's awesome. On a moment's notice, this guy is willing to come in like it's nothing. He's got the professional mic and the whole 9 yards, and he joins us now. Ron Slay is with us. And Ron, I was just talking about how you were one of my all-time favorite players to cover, and I've told you that before, but it's true. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm good, Dave. How you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm good. For those that don't know, you have exploded onto the broadcasting scene. What all do you do nowadays?
Man, I try to do a little bit of everything, man. Fathering and along with the media. So, man, I've been doing my podcast, The Boom Boom Room, which is taking flight a little bit, man. It started with the pandemic and doing the interviews with friends and people that I grew up admiring and mentored me and some more stuff. So that just took off. And then with 104.5 The Zone now on 3HL from 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, people. You know, that's been fun. You know, I'm allowed to be myself, which I can't ask for nothing more. It's kind of like being on the court in a sense, you know, nobody's trying to make me be quiet. You know, I don't get no technical fouls for this as long as I say the right thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it's been fun, man. I'm doing a lot of good things in the works to come. So people just got to keep their eyes open, man.
Can I be in the Boom Boom Room, or am I not? I'm not probably cool enough. Too old, maybe.
No, Dave, you know what? You are cool enough, man. You kind of been around since the Boom Boom Room was created. You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
You kind of got grandfathered into this thing.
I love it. Anytime you want me, I'd be glad to be on. I do want to talk about Grant Williams and your thoughts on him. But first of all, did you ever think you'd be talking Tennessee baseball in Tennessee, especially talking Tennessee baseball, and I've listened to your guys' show in Nashville? I mean, that wasn't a thing when you were in school, and slightly before that when I was in school.
Right. I just learned it was kind of blasphemy to be talking about baseball and not including Vanderbilt in the conversation. So yeah, it's I never thought I would, man. It goes to show you what a hiring can do, especially when like the program is behind the person, like they were with Vitello, kind of, you know, hands off, man, go create. You know, we got a pile of clay right here. Go create it and do what you will with it. And he's done that, and I guess we see it, man. I was watching the game on my TV, and when I say that in June, people are like, man, oh, you must be watching the finals game. Man, I was actually watching the baseball game on my TV and watching the finals on my iPad, even though like I got a nice setup where I can watch 4 different monitors, and I just had it on the big screen. I didn't even split it up or anything, man. So baseball's trumped it right now, man. And you know, this is coming from a guy, if you cut me open, there's gonna be little balls that bounce out on the ground. Basketballs. You know
basketballs.
Yeah, basketballs. Yeah, basketballs is gonna bounce.
That's good. I'm glad we clarified that, Ron.
It's good radio. This is good radio, Ray.
It's content. It's content. We're pushing content right now. So, Ron, as far as Grant Williams, let me turn to that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, as a recruit, when you see a guy like that went to a Tennessee and is having success in the NBA Finals, when you see something like that, does that grab your attention, or do guys like me overplay that a little bit? Because it's proof that Rick Barnes and Tennessee's program can get you to that level, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't think you overplay that. If anything, I would think people are underplaying it more so than not. You know, I look at a lot of places that you go at are basketball factories. I'm wearing Oak Hill right now. We got a retirement party for Coach Smith this Saturday that I'm emceeing. So, you know, and looking at the guest list, you look at that and you see all the guys that went there, from Carmelo to Jerry Stackhouse to Ron Mercer to Jeff McGinnis. The list goes on. And you start to affiliate that with guys going pro, you know, and what it took to get there. So now you start to look at a program like University of Tennessee, where you would just think, man, competitive, just being competitive in the SEC, and you try to you move away from that a little bit with guys being able to make it, and be like Tobias Harris, and it becomes a reality and consistency when you get guys like Keon to start to go there, Jaden Springer, and then you get Grant Williams, and you got him in the final. And so, and then not only that, but the way he represents it. Like this man is walking to the podium with Tennessee on, either the T-shirt or the shoes. So it's a correlation, man, to Tennessee automatically, and it pops to recruits. I was talking to a kid the other day, a highly recruited kid. He's a sophomore in football, and he was talking about the class and what's going on with the 23 class in football and how other guys are watching it. So
yeah, so we were talking about pressure with the baseball team, but I know you played basketball. What was it like being an athlete at a big time school, and how was the pressure on the court? Did it ever get to you?
You know what? I think the best thing that happened for me when it comes to pressure was the pressure I felt in practice. I think, when you're around a talented bunch, if you're practicing the right way, you're preparing for situations in games where it's not going to be a problem. My bad. It's not going to be a problem.
You sound great. He's looking at the microphone. You sound great.
It's not going to be a problem, and that's what it was for us. The pressure all came from, and then being able to be a freshman and come in as 6 man, and playing against guys like Isaiah Victor and TJ Black and Charles Hathaway. Like, these guys were all highly touted. I grew up watching and everything. So my whole thing was, man, let me go ahead and do my part. So it's no pressure if I'm taking a single part of a game that I'm adding to. It's nothing on my shoulders because you're moving as a unit. You're moving as a team. So, I mean, of course, you can add the pressure. Like, you're in the bottom of the ninth in baseball. It's 3-2 count. Like, you got to come up with a big time hit to keep it alive. But that's different. Like, nothing can be simulated but experiences. And I think this Tennessee baseball team has went through a lot of different experiences throughout this season and last season. And one thing I think that gets overlooked with this team is because of the brash and them people saying they cocky, this, that, and other is, man, you hear Vitello talk about it all the time. And I say it every single time. If they practice a certain way, I don't care what you go out there and do, man. I mean, you have fun with it because I'm holding you accountable in practice, and you can't get away with it. I guarantee it's been plenty of times he's been making them run where they've done something in practice and messed up. So when you get to the game, this is the fun part. That's why you see guys having so much fun. So the pressure is fun. That's what you want. You dying for those situations. You walking off the court in basketball and you counting down 5, 4, 3, 2. That's your pressure, but it's fun. So once you get in that moment, you see guys like Steph Curry and stuff, they practice this way. So no, it's not pressure. It's pressure to the fans because they on the edge of their seat like, what's going to happen? Not knowing that, man, this man in practice this shot 25 times, probably today. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's pressure is it's welcome. It's welcome. And I don't know a lot of people that back down from it. And if they do, they don't need to be a part of any team that I'm on.
Yeah, I was just wondering, kind of switching gears back to basketball, when you were talking earlier about just the Barnes products in the NBA, Durant, Williams obviously is playing well right now. Who do you think on this current team next year for Tennessee has that chance to, I guess, fill those shoes and move forward and kind of keep going, I guess, in that pantheon?
I think, man, I think a guy like Josiah Jordan-James, even though it's not the numbers of 25 and 10 and 8, like, he does fill up the stat sheet, but what he brings more so to the team than not is the leadership. And a lot of times that's what you need, because we talked about guys that he's groomed like a Grant Williams. That's that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th slot, that you can come into the league and you're depending on a guy to be consistent. And I think when healthy, he's one of the guys that is most consistent. He's athletic. He can defend different positions. He can knock the shot down, as we saw as the season went on. But I think he's the guy that can take that next step. I also like the kid Phillips that's coming in, Jacoby. I think I'm saying his name right.
Jabari Phillips.
Jabari Phillips, yeah. I like him, man. Like he's got a great upside. Now, how quick it translates to the floor in college and the SEC play remains to be seen. That's always a question mark. But if he lives up to it, definitely gonna be a problem. But BJ Edwards, man, like this young man, I've been watching him since a freshman, coached against him, and he's a problem when he's comfortable. Yeah, as far as on the defensive end and the offensive end, I've seen this man pick up the ball 94 feet. I've seen us come out of timeout and say all we got to do is keep the ball from getting in his hands, and we'll be fine. And we can't deny him. And then we try to blitz him with a trap in the backcourt, and he still plays at his own pace. So. And I think that was early on, so he's only getting better. And then you see guys like Zakai and Santi that you expect them to have a really good college career, and then you never know what can happen in that senior year. You look at guys back like Josh Richardson, we didn't know he was going to explode like that. Jordan McRae, yeah, he could score, but we didn't know he was going to be walking around with the NBA ring as well. So, I mean, it's a lot of guys, man, on this team that, with Coach Barnes being able to put his imprint on them, that they will be good. And then you get that one or two 5-stars that put you over the hump. But his foundation is laid, man. So Josiah's the guy I believe that can take that next step.
I'll be wearing the shorts tonight. I found Celtic shorts on special, the black ones, and they're sweet. So I bought 4 pair. They were $19.99, Ron. They're awesome. And,
are they wait a minute, double hook? Are they baggy? Or are you going with the Bob Cousy joints where they a little tight?
I'm like
got to wear spandex underneath.
I'm like the second coming of Chris Webber. I mean, I'm Jalen Rose re-embodied. So they're almost below the knees, Ron. They're almost below the knees.
I like it.
Yeah. My son, I think at one point said, "Dad, those look like capris." Like, so just shut your mouth.
You got to watch this younger generation, Hook, man. They'll take jabs at you.
Yeah. I brought you into this world. I can take you out. So, Ron, give me a pick. Celtics Warriors tonight.
Ooh, golly, man. So I started out Celtics in 7. I'm stick with that. 1-1 going into Beantown, man. This is the thing, man. Golly. See, and this is the problem with when I get to picking. There's so many different elements to the game that I get to start thinking about. And one immediately is the physicality that the refs are going to let them play with. They've done a great job of letting them play, and players have done a great job adjusting. Saw Boston come out and be more physical in the first game when they were trying to come back, and that just bled over into the fourth quarter, and they got the lead and didn't relinquish it. Second game, you saw with Golden State, the whole thing was to get up into them and play them with body and not let guys like Jaylen Brown go with his right hand, make him keep it in his left hand. Like the little things like that, I think going to play a factor. If I'm Grant Williams, if I'm Boston and I'm Grant Williams, he is the guy that's going to be the irritant for me going into the game. I need you to be the irritant. If you can sucker Draymond into anything, do it. We all right. And I'm Tatum and I'm Brown. I'm paying you fine. Don't you worry about nothing. If you got to get thrown out, hey, it is what it is. We'll be all right. We're deep enough. Can Robert Williams go? Saying all that to say, Hook, I really don't know. But I'm gonna go. I think Golden State gets them in Game 3, and I think Boston retaliates in Game 4 before they get ready to go back out to San Francisco. So Golden State, and I want Boston to win. Like I want Boston to get this over with. But man, can Tatum and Brown play good at the exact same time? It's almost like we're reaching back before the All-Star break. Like, can they coexist again? You know what I'm saying? And then can you get the role players like Marcus Smart and those guys to go? Can Peyton Jr., Peyton II, can he continue doing what he's doing? I think you when you're looking at Golden State, you don't see the same thing in Otto Porter that you thought you were going to get when you're subbing him in for a guy like Iguodala. So Klay Thompson is not the defender he was. So you took Draymond and put him on Jaylen Brown. Does that open up something else? Like that's a lot, man. It's a lot. I could go all day with this hook.
I know you can. I'm picking the Celtics. I'll just leave that.
Okay.
Ron, great stuff. The Boom Boom Room. Check it
Yes.
out and keep killing it, man. I've always told people it's kind of like you, Eric Berry, and there's as far as my favorite players I ever covered out of hundreds, you're like top 3. I mean, you're right there. So yeah, I mean, yeah, take that award and that'll get you a cup, maybe that and a quarter will get you a cup of coffee. So,
See, but guess what though, Hook? Let me tell the listeners, see, we planned this. You know, that's what they got to know. That's the only reason I'm getting up at 8:20 to get on here, man, and knock this out, man. You got to give me all compliments, man. You got to put me in the realm of Hall of Famers like EB. Like, you need to put me in speaking engagements like Inky. Like, you know what I mean? Come on, man. Boost me up, Hook. Boost me
I'm
up,
doing
man.
it. I'm doing it. I will tell you right this though, and I'm sorry you had to get up early because we could have recorded it, but that's okay.
What?
Right? Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm out here with sleeping face and everything, Hook, man.
You look.
I ain't had no hot chocolate this morning.
Ron, have a blessed day. Love you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Amanda, Ethan, appreciate y'all, no doubt.
Thank you,
buddy.
All right.
Ron Slay, is he not the best? I mean, is he hands down the most fun athlete? If you're apologize for the slight audio issues there, but if you're looking for a place to watch the game, you can go to Big Orange Phillies tonight. Quick Bites. They know it's tough to get out of the office for a long lunch. They've got that right now. Got fresh ingredients. Casual doesn't mean stale food options. Great taste is the name of the game. They're committed to stepping up to the plate. And you can stay and hang out with darts, billboards, live entertainment, and karaoke. So great place to watch the game. It's in the Halls area. It's on Maynardville Pike. So just go to Big Orange Phillies on Facebook and you can find them and enjoy. So for the record, guys, let's pick the game tonight. We don't usually talk a lot of NBA, but with Grant, I'm taking the Celtics. I think that the Celtics win tonight, and for the record, since the series started before we started our show, I did like the Celtics in 6. I think the Warriors are certainly a solid pick and probably the popular pick, but I will tend, as you guys learned me, I will tend to lean towards defense, and I think Boston's defense is really darn good. So, Amanda, let me start with you. Who are you picking tonight? If you want to go ahead and say the Celtics, then there's a pair of 2XL shorts in the mail for you because I got 4. I don't know what you would even do with those.
I don't make a blanket. I don't really.
It'd be like a dress.
Maybe. I'm going with the Warriors. I know. I'm sorry, but it's not that I like the Warriors. I'm just saying I think Green comes out fighting this time around.
All right, Ethan, pick the game tonight.
In Boston, I'd say the Celtics probably.
Okay. Well, it's a very definitive prediction you made, Ethan.
Yeah. I to be totally honest with you, after game 1 and the way they came back like that, and the Warriors just looked absolutely dejected, and Jason Tatum didn't even play that well. I thought it was going to be Celtics in 5. I still think it'll be Celtics in 6 as of right now, but they played so well. I mean, the Warriors looked like they didn't have an answer, and then they responded in game 2. So who knows? But with 2 games upcoming in Boston, I feel like there's a strong chance the Celtics take both of those.
Have a fantastic day, everyone. Thanks to Ron Slay. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ethan. We will talk to you tomorrow. Go to offthehooksports.com where you can get news throughout the day and commentary. You also get a column on Grant Williams. We would love to see you there, and we will talk to you tomorrow. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.